What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. And here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you today?
Oh, everything is wonderful. Baseball was exciting this weekend. And I don't watch baseball too often, so pretty excited to enjoy the baseball playoffs. That's where that sport really delivers. You follow your regional team during the year and then you check on everybody during the playoffs. Great weekend for some Major League Baseball. The NFL is always exciting, always plenty to talk about in the NFL. And I don't know if it's my favorite sport, but it's my best sport to wager on. The NBA begins tomorrow. Things could not be better for me.
October 15th, Saturday is a day that's going to go down in infamy. Astros complete the sweep of the hated Mariners. And can we get this out here now? All of you wusses and crybabies that's getting on Twitter complaining about the way the Astros social media site put the bloom up there. Like, come on, man. You've heard at least 1,000 different accounts where people who are known public figures in the media, whether they cover sports or whether they're in entertainment, pretty much say F the Astros. A lot of them have actually said the exact words and used the term. And now, when the social media site puts up a broom, now it's, oh, the Astros show some class. Like, get out of here, man. No one from the Houston fan base, we're not trying to hear that. We're going to enjoy this time on top. We're going to enjoy rubbing it in your face for all of the smack you guys have talked and how you guys have tried to diminish all of the accomplishments of this organization. You don't get to 6 straight ALCSs and win 6 straight divisions by chance or by beating on trash cans, man. It's by having the best organization in Major League Baseball, and that's what the Astros have. But October 15th, as I said, will be a great day in Houston for a long time. We complete the sweep of the Mariners in 18 innings, played 2 games, and that's the advantage that the Astros are going to have on every team that they face this season, especially with the teams that are left after a couple upsets that happened on Saturday. The Astros have the best pitching staff by far. Only compare maybe the Guardians to us. They have a tight one as well, and we're going to talk about that game. They're playing tonight, a pivotal game 5 in New York tonight against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. But on the 15th, the Braves went down to the Phillies. We had them, and the Dodgers go down to the Padres. I was the only one who told people that the Padres were going to win this series. The Padres have a good team. They've stacked that roster, both with starting pitching and also with their lineup. And they have some guys who have really played a lot of big postseason games in Machado and Soto. These guys came to play. They got added bats like Brandon Drury. Those guys are stacked over there. And you better watch the Padres because they have a really good manager in Bob Melvin, who has a lot of experience in the postseason from his years with Oakland. And also, Bama goes down on the 15th. I talked to you a little bit earlier. We'll get into the game when we get to the pass. I told you Tennessee was going to get them, and they did. Matter of fact, let's go on and get to the past president.
All right, let's jump in because it was a good week for us here on the Wagering World, past, present, and future. We're going to start, as exciting as yesterday was, let's start with the great action that we saw in college football on Saturday. And hey, the biggest story, not the fact that they covered the spread. They got the outright win. It was a lot of fun. I was watching, and I said, watch, they're gonna take over the field, and it was just so much fun to see. And that's what college sports has that professional sports lacks. And that's just 70,000 people between 18 and 22 years old ready to celebrate when your team makes an accomplishment. So I enjoyed us cashing the ticket. I enjoyed watching the celebration. But once you break it down from a football perspective, what did you see out there on the field?
Alabama, I told you their talent discrepancy that they enjoyed over the years has diminished. Every team now that they face that's a top team, like Ohio States of the world, the USCs of the world, the Texases of the world. Now you can throw Tennessee in that group. Even Auburn, they have the athletes. Unfortunately, Auburn doesn't have a quarterback, but Tennessee has the right trigger man, Herndon Hooker. Herndon Hooker isn't just a good player. He's a grown-up. He's 25. And the thing that makes that program so good over at Tennessee is he has the right coach. Josh Heupel is doing a great job, man. He's a really good coach. He was a former quarterback, as I told you in the previous show, at Oklahoma, where he was one of the first guys running that system, that hurry up, four wide, uh, press, move fast offense. And now he's been able to take it and put the athletes that Tennessee can afford to recruit over there, and they are just lights out. It was a special day in Neyland Stadium. Such a huge game from their receivers, man. Jalen Hyde, man, he put himself definitely in the NFL draft with just that performance he had against Alabama. They could not stop him, man. He had went for over 200 yards receiving, 6 receptions for 207 yards and 5 touchdowns. And see, Tennessee's quote-unquote number one receiver's been out with an injury all year, so Hyatt stepped up and he was unguardable, man. How do you put up 5 touchdown passes against Alabama? And that's all schematics by Josh Heupel being able to locate the weakness on Alabama's defense, which defensive back that Heupel went on, and get them on him over and over and over again. And no matter what he did, they did. Nick Saban could not come up with an answer. Bryce Young, hell of a game. First game back, going there 120,000 people. Still go 35 and 52, almost 500 yards passing. He had 455 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. If he would have got the ball back with enough time, I'm sure he would have answered the call. His kicker misses, I want to say, about a 50-yarder to give Tennessee back the ball and an opportunity. And Tennessee's kicker comes through and does not miss. Great job by that Tennessee offense of getting down the field very fast, taking the opportunity to win that game instead of like most teams do when they get in these situations. They get tight and they blow it. They went down the field and they did what they need to do. My overall take from this game is Tennessee and Georgia in a couple of weeks is going to be a hell of a game. I'm sure Alabama's going to fight the way back in. And another thing that I got from this game is Bryce Young is Drew Brees. He's Drew Brees at Purdue. Stands taller in the pocket than his size, moves just enough to get the ball to people down the field when he gets pressure, never panics, always head up, looking downfield to try to complete passes, clutch player. Without a doubt, I think that Bryce Young should be the number one pick even after this loss.
All right. Well, that was a great game there. Exciting. It's nice to see some new blood in the college football world. Another game that we enjoyed was Clemson heading down to Florida State for an ACC battle. What were your thoughts on that one?
I gave out Clemson minus 3.5 on this show and as well on 97.5 ESPN out of Houston. It's just Clemson is Clemson. A lot of other teams get caught up in all of the different things that's going around them and all of the hype, the talk. They get caught up with the bidding and all that stuff. But Dabo does a great job of keeping his team focused, keeping his team within the structure of his program. And those guys always dominate the ACC. Another big game from DJ Uiagalelei, stepped up big time. And as I told you last show, that I really thought that Florida State was going to have a lot of problems moving the ball against this Clemson defense. Clemson defense, as always, is very, very stout, man. They're one of the stoutest teams you're going to find on defense. Great schemes as usual by Dabo. And the thing is, Florida State jumped out early in this game. Clemson took the game over in the second quarter. Crowd's rocking. Uiagalelei answers back with a 59-yard dime to Williams. And after that, they didn't look back anymore. Florida State scored one more touchdown in that half at the beginning of the second. And then after that, here comes the Tigers with 17 points unanswered. And they took control of the game. Third quarter, they take control of the game on the first play of the third quarter. They go 31-yard pass to Allen from Uiagalelei. So Clemson's going to be around at the end of the year. As I told you, Florida State is not ready yet. You guys thinking back, you should have got Deion Sanders. You had the opportunity. You see what he's doing at Jackson State. He would have really had that program humming at Florida State with the access that school had. They should have picked up Deion. Norville isn't a bad coach, but he isn't Prime. Coach Prime brings a different type of energy, and he brings a notoriety to that school that would have landed so many top recruits. He got the top defensive back in the whole country to come to Jackson State, man. So imagine what he could have done in Florida State. I think Florida State, as I've been saying all preseason, we talked about, I think they really fumbled the ball when they didn't get Deion Sanders as their head coach. He offered to come and fix that program, and they didn't listen. And now I think that over the next few years, they're going to regret it, and they're going to try to probably pull up a truck to get him to come back and try to rehash the offer and see if they can get him back over there. But I really doubt that Deion accepts it this time. But overall, same old Clemson, man, same old Florida State. Clemson runs the ACC.
All right, and that was definitely a fun one. And another ticket cashed. USC headed to Utah. We thought Utah would get it done. USC looked pretty good. What did you see in that package?
I didn't bet
I bet it. I took Utah. I thought we were going to cruise, but regardless.
Yeah, I just said that I leaned toward Utah on the 3.5 because
I bet all your leans. More often than not, your leans are just as good. So
thank you. Well, what happened is that Utah, I saw from the line from the book that Utah was most likely win this game, but the ridiculous 3.5 made me feel like they were going to blow them out, and they maybe would have if they would have played any good in the first half. The first half, Utah didn't even show up. They didn't do anything. The second half is when they got involved into the game. They really locked in. Cam Rising started to do what Cam Rising does for Utah. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks you're going to find. I really like to see if he's going to end up as an NFL quarterback because he definitely has the grit. He definitely has the talent. I don't know what his measurables are as far as his height and stuff, but, man, that dude, he's a gritty leader. I've always had a lot of love for Cam Rising. Since Utah has made a step into the national spotlight again, he's been the one who's really been at the forefront of that, the type of player that he is, man. He went up 30 for 44, 415 yards, 2 touchdowns, man. Also ran for 3 touchdowns. So he accounted for 5 touchdowns for those guys. It was a really special night in Utah because they were doing this game in honor of 2 of their players. They lost tragically. One was the freshman running back, man. He got shot and killed at a party back in his hometown, I believe. And then the other guy, I don't know what happened to him, but he also passed. They lost 2 guys, and they had both of those young men's faces on their helmet. Wonderful job by Utah of, honoring those kids. I've never seen that before. The whole team had the kids' faces on either side of their helmets that passed from the team. And it was a magical night. You could tell that those guys probably were somewhere watching down and very happy with the ending because Utah dug itself out the hole and they go for 2 at the end of the game just to get the win, and Whittingham said he's going to end it right then and there. He didn't even try to, get the OT, and then their defense comes up big and is able to stop the great Caleb Williams from getting to the end zone. Caleb Williams had a great game. Caleb Williams is a baller, man, the quarterback for USC, man. 25 of 42, 381 yards and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Every time he gets the ball, you think they're going to score. And just a great job by Utah holding on. But USC does get the cover. Caleb Williams was crying after the game, and I was like, I don't know why he's even crying. He's in a great spot still. USC can still win the Pac-12. They can still maybe get into the playoffs. All they have to do is handle their business when they play UCLA, the crosstown rival at the end of the year, because UCLA already beat Utah. So now it boils down to if USC can beat UCLA, they should be okay. But, man, those Bruins are looking tough. I think the Bruins might win the Pac-12. That victory against Utah at the Rose Bowl is going to be huge. I can't wait to see USC and UCLA. This is going to be one of the more exciting matchups we've seen in the Pac-12.
San Jose State couldn't get it done in Fresno. What were your thoughts on that one?
Bad handicap by me. All week, I did a great job of handicapping a lot of these games, but this game here, I fumbled the ball on, and it comes down to this. On Thursdays, I give out my games on ESPN 97.5. By Saturday, I can factor in other things like the market, where's the money going and things like that. And that always happens where these type of games where I capped it. Fresno State sucks. Fife is a horrible quarterback for Fresno State. The backup, Logan Fife, he's terrible. Oh, this guy, Siobhan Cordero for San Jose, he's wonderful. Da-da-da. When that game went off the board, it was 80% of the money was on San Jose State. The line had dropped for 8.5 to 7. Also, I had no idea that they were retiring Devontae Adams' jersey that night. So him and Derek Carr in the building. So Fresno State is hyped. Their defense is playing ball. And, they're a proud team. At Fresno State has been good for a long time, going back to David and Derek Carr. So their defensive players really stepped up. Their running backs and receivers helped out their backup quarterback a lot. He still hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. I think he has 0 touchdown passes and like 5 or 6 interceptions because San Jose State, I want to say, picked him off twice in this game. What I got from this game was Fresno State was ready to play. They were tired of losing. They were really motivated from Devontae Adams' jersey retirement, and they came to play. They hurt Siobhan Cordero in the first half. I believe he had a concussion because he didn't look right after a big hit that he took the rest of the game. He was kind of out of it. He threw his first interception on the first series on a ball his receiver should have caught in the end zone. Ends up tipped by Fresno State, picks it off. Instead of it being 7-0 San Jose State first quarter, it turns to 0-0. Fresno State's back in the game. I believe San Jose State gets a score out of that position, we have a different ball game. These games are so particular. So many small little things, so many drives that are so important that comes down to it on these games. And that first drive really put them behind, and they never caught back up. And Fresno State ends up winning the game straight up. Just a bad handicap by me. As I said, I had no idea Devontae Adams' jersey was being retired. And that's one of these things. I'm going to stop giving out all of the games that I give out on ESPN 97.5 here because, as I said, at least I get more information by Friday evening that I don't receive on Thursday. Thursday's a little bit too early to give out these Saturday night games, especially late night games, because one of the biggest things with handicapping, guys, is not only just breaking down the teams and the matches, but also reading the market.
All right. Well, Jordan didn't win every game either, so we're still riding with you, and a great weekend on Saturday. And you continued the success on Sunday. Let's go ahead and talk about some of those games. And here, of course, because I do handicap the NFL and not just tell your plays, I'll throw in my thoughts as well. The first ones is the Ravens and the New York Giants. And like, all the albums that dropped in 1993, New York is back. New York hip hop scene revitalized in 1993. And now the New York football scene has revitalized here in 2022. Some of these excuses that are, downgrades of the Giants, because I'd still seen them in a lot of people's projections as a below average team. I think you have to throw this out the window. I mean, they continue to get strong wins against strong teams. So, of course, we're going to give the New York Giants their due. They're getting it done. They're kind of rough at the wide receiver position, and that's where you have the influence of a great coach like Brian Daboll, who's going to be able to overcome that and not just sit there and say, oh, well, we don't have a guy who can just beat every route. We don't know what to do. He's done a great job. I love the guy that they had last year, Patrick Graham, who ended up going to the Raiders. And I said, oh, he's such a good D coordinator. Wink Martindale might be even better. He's made this pretty much the same group of guys look even better. So let's give the Giants their praise. But of course, right, with every game, there's a winner and there's a loser. What do we make of the Baltimore Ravens here? Lamar Jackson couldn't get it done at the end. Boy, real rough call there, or when he tried to force that one throw for the game sealing interception. So let's give the Giants their praise, but then tell me what to make of the Ravens. Is it not that big a deal? Do I need to be downgrading them in my power rankings? What were your takeaways?
Pencil in Brian Daboll as coach of the year. You could put it in right now. It's no debate. Only an idiot can't see the effect he's had on this team. As you guys know, this was my biggest NFL bet. I had it tuned in on the TV. Everything else was on devices, like on phones and laptops. I had this one on the 70-inch watching it, and I watched every play. And all I can tell you is that it went just like we spoke about it was going to go, with Martindale being able to stop Lamar. He's great in the first half. They look good in the first half, because you have to get adjusted to the speed that they bring. You have to get adjusted to the physicality they bring in the running game. But after that, when you start hitting them back, you start running your plays, and the game gets tight, what can they go to? Lamar can't just drop back and pass the ball, no matter what people try to say and try to fix the numbers and say, okay, Lamar's doing this from the pocket. He's done this from the pocket. Lamar is not a pocket quarterback. I'm sorry. He just isn't. He's a great athlete and he's a great quarterback, but you're certain he has a certain tailored offense that the Ravens have masterfully done that's tailored to him. But when it comes down to them playing from behind, how many times has he came back? How do they play in these close games at the end of the game? They're a front-running team. If they get up on you, that's why they try to put down the coup de grace in the first half on most teams, because if they up first half and get to run it downhill on you after they're up 10 to 14 points, they're good because they have good enough defense to maintain the lead. All these close games, all these games where they got to come back, they lose. And Daniel Jones is playing good football. He just doesn't have receivers. I watched every snap. He's making the right reads. He has a bunch of heart. I like Daniel Jones from the beginning. He just wasn't being coached right. Daniel Jones has a strong arm. He runs like a 4.5, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to get hit, any of those things. So if you see Daniel Jones become the next Josh Allen next year, don't be surprised when they get the right weapons around him, because he has all of the tools to do everything you're seeing from Josh Allen up in Buffalo. And remember, Daboll created that system that has made Josh Allen successful, and he's building around this kid the same way. I like Daniel Jones. I don't think they draft another quarterback. They don't even get a chance to anyway now, because as I talked about earlier, this isn't a fluke. They're going to be right there to the end. They're going to make the playoffs at 5-1, unless they have a monumental collapse. There's no way they shouldn't at least make the wild card in the NFC. And it all just goes back to Daboll and his ingenious by one. He controls the offense and runs very sharp plays where success rate is going to be very high. He gets the ball to Saquon Barkley, and he allows Martindale to do what he needs to do on defense to keep them in all these games by playing to them, not turning the ball over, being smart, punting when he needs to punt, kicking the damn extra point when he needs to kick. So the Giants are back to playing Giants football. A lot of people forget this. Historically, this has been a great franchise over the years, and it all comes down to ownership. And much like the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, the Mara family has always done a great job with the Giants, and they're back to just playing Giants football, which is winning these tough, low-scoring games by being sharp and you being smart and you and playing good defense. So I'm not surprised at all the results. I had the Giants plus 205, and I had the Giants plus 5.5. I knew that they were going to pull this game out, and it went just like I expected.
The Bengals head down to New Orleans, and Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow found that magic one last time. You can do everything you want schematically. You can draw up all the right plays. Jamar Chase just seems to get it. Even on ones where felt like they had 2-3 defenders behind the line, he would find a way to get to the first down line. Even when they doubled him, put a bracket on him, he found a way to get wide open. Joe Burrow finds him. I didn't necessarily want to downgrade for the Saints from that performance. I think that we're seeing from the Bengals kind of what we saw last year, which is why we were so high on this team going into it, as in the idea is if they can just get a reasonable run game, give Joe Burrow a decent amount of time, make the throws. They have some of the best weapons in football, and the kid just has some moxie. So I didn't want to downgrade the Saints. I just wanted to give the Bengals credit. A good win for them, and that felt like the type of win they can build on. And another team we're going to talk about is the Jets. But I really feel like in that week 2 win over the Cleveland Browns, what that was so improbable, I feel like they really built off that, and that changed their season. I think this might be that type of win here for the Cincinnati Bengals, with those guys getting back to their home state, kind of feeling some success, having that swagger back in the arena. I think the team builds on this. Good news for Cincinnati fans. All's not lost for the Saints. They're so beat up right now. I think they could still get together and make a run. And I thought that game was more about the greatness of the Bengals and their weapons more than a downgrade of the Saints. What were your thoughts?
The Saints got to get their defense together. The defense has took a major step back this season. I'm a diehard Saints fan, and I've watched every game, and I usually watch it on replay. This one I didn't watch on replay because I watched the whole game. I was had it on my laptop going at the same time I was watching the Giants. This is one of the few games that I did lose this week. I took the Saints plus 3, and it was a good bet. It didn't go my way because at the end you had a horrible punt by the Saints punter. The next play, they caught him slipping with Jamar Chase. Just a wonderful play by Jamar. He breaks the tackle from Honey Badger and goes and takes it to the house. Honey Badger has declined a lot. I don't know if it's coming back to Louisiana, too much good food, too much being around the homies and family.
Hey, we were talking beforehand. I said those secondary guys fall off quick.
Dude. Because he's got I want to say Honey Badger in his 30s, right? He's 30s plus. He's not.
Yeah, I'm just saying, a defensive lineman, they could rock till they're like 35. Offensive lineman, they could rock till they're like 37.
Yeah.
You lose half a step in the new NFL, and it's really tough. It's not the NBA where you're going against a bunch of guys with guaranteed contracts as well. The second you lose half a step, they get rid of you. They only have the quickest, fastest, youngest, strongest guys on the field. So, I just wanted to point that out. We were talking earlier about secondary, and I said,
yeah,
hey, these guys got a good 5 years, but he's smart enough. He'll get back.
Mickey Loomis made a bad move. He's been excellent. He's been lights out with all of his roster moves. He got in his feelings. Him and Dennis Allen got pissed off with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and he was the key to success in that defensive backfield because everything that Honey Badger was, he is now. And that's being able to play the slot, can play the safety, can play the corner, can blitz, can make plays, doesn't miss any causes fumbles. Now you see the Eagles' defensive backfield is lights out because C.J. Gardner-Johnson is over there, and he's the type of guy that brings such good energy to the practices, to the locker room. He's just a high energy guy, and every day he loves football and coming to play football. And the Saints are missing that on their defensive side and in that locker room, and he's brought it to the Eagles. As you see, Darius Slay is back being Darius Slay. And a lot of that has to do with CJ going over there, hyping him up. You saw the little video yesterday with him and Jalen Hurts kicking it after the game when they got the game balls from NBC. He's just a good energy guy, man. And I don't know why in the hell Dennis Allen allowed him getting pissed because he told him at practice that he wanted to get paid, which he deserved to get paid, and said he wasn't practicing a couple of days until he got paid, and then they shipped him off to the Eagles, and then you send him right to the NFC. That's so smart. Like send him to the AFC somewhere, man. Don't send him to some guys that you got to play. And just a horrible move by Loomis. He's done a lot of great things in New Orleans in his tenure, so I can't really, knock him, but him and Dennis Allen know better, especially Dennis Allen being the defensive coordinator. They're looking at it like, oh, well, we get Honey Badger. We don't care. We'll let him go. No, you should have left C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the locker room with the Saints because he brought a lot more than what he brought on the field, and also what he brought on the field equated to W. Getting back to the Saints, Demario Davis got to get that defense together. He's lost a step as well. Him, Honey Badger, Cam, they seem like they've lost a step, man. They're giving up way too many points. If the Saints offense without Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave can put up 26 points, they're supposed to win that game at home with the normal Saints defense that we've had the last 3-4 years. I don't know what's going on with them. They're giving up way too many points. And until they get that corrected, the Saints are a playoff team, in my opinion.
One of my favorite stories of the year seems to be hitting a crashing halt as the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that I'm fond of, once again did not look the part. My guy Trevor Lawrence, who I really want to be good, man, it's just he might just end up being really good and not like a top 5 guy because he's seen flashes of inconsistency. We thought that he was going to make that leap at the beginning of the year, and now it's kind of coming back to some of the errors he made last year. And give the Colts credit. They were there to take advantage of it. Ryan seems to have found a nice little chemistry with Pittman, and he can still sling it. He just can't move or do anything else. But if they give him time and Pittman gets open, he can make that throw. Colts overall get it done. I'm not upgrading the Colts off that win. You talked about it before, right? Everyone talked about the Jags' success against the Colts, but you failed to mention, well, the Colts beat them the last 2 times in Indy. A lot of that is just the fact that
that's what I said last year.
Yeah. And so, I'm not necessarily ready to upgrade the Colts because they beat a Jaguars team that's been highly inconsistent. And I still think they're going to struggle against the best of the NFL. I think what this game illustrated to me is the Jaguars aren't ready to make that step and be one of the best in the NFL yet. But this is a young team. They're going to have some growing pains. So hopefully they learn from this because I'd like for this franchise to be good. And I'd like for Trevor to at least approach what we had hoped. What were your thoughts on the Colts? Once again, we had the right side. We thought that, I didn't want to play it, but I said I had that line over 3. I was surprised it was less than 3. And I thought a lot of the narrative going in off the Jacksonville winning in Jacksonville was being overrated. Another one that we nailed. Thoughts on the Jags and Colts?
We just nailed it. We said exactly what was going to happen. The Colts will keep it close, but them being a veteran team and with a veteran quarterback, instead of Lawrence, they got a future Hall of Famer, ex-MVP, and Matt Ryan, who went 42 of 58 for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns because guess what? He had no sacks. They kept him clean. If they
Yeah.
keep him clean, he can still work. And as we said on the show previously when we were breaking down this game, it will come down to the end, and the Colts will figure out their way to win. They know that they're not a team that can blow anyone out. They just keep it close and try to time manage and that's very smart on Wright's part. Like I said, he's a good coach. I was just playing when I said he was dumb. Me and you both like Wright a lot, and we like what he's done over there in Indianapolis the whole time he's been there. And he was super sharp and very integral in the Eagles winning their championship when he was the OC. He keeps the game close, and then he's going to play that clock where you don't get another chance after he scores. And it worked out perfectly, and we were able to get the victory on that. Alex Pierce from Cincinnati. Keep your eyes on him. He's going to be the next Jordan Nelson. Alex Pierce is the next Jordan Nelson. Remember, I told you he hasn't played the whole season because he's a rookie, and I think he was a little injured at the beginning of the year, but now he's starting to show. And as long as they're paying attention to Pittman, he's going to get one-on-ones, and he's one of those guys with great catch radius. He can catch the ball in a lot of different ways, and he has sneaky speed, just like Jordy Nelson. And I remember at Cincinnati when he was killing, I was saying, hey, man, this guy's like Jordy Nelson. He's that guy. Believe that Alex Pierce is going to put in work, man. So keep an eye on Alex Pierce in the coming years. And the Colts look good, man. If they get back their running back, Jonathan Taylor, I think that they're going to be able to make a little noise as the year continues.
The New York Jets get it done at the Green Bay Packers. Probably their best signature win of the season. Both New York teams getting wins as big underdog. The Giants stayed at home. This one might be a little more impressive going to unfriendly confines of Lambeau Field, getting it done outdoors against a team that's always performed well at home. And Aaron Rodgers stats off a loss, right? He was so great against the spread and just blowing teams out. That seemed to be coming to an end, but I don't want to talk bad about the Packers. We know what their issues are. We've detailed them many times on the show. Let's go ahead and just give the Jets their props because they deserve it.
Robert Saleh, he told you guys that he was keeping receipts, and he meant that. This was a pretty easy cap for me. The only thing that made me worry just a little bit was the public money. It was a lot of public money on the Jets, but this was one of the few public dogs that won this week and actually covered. And it was schematically, man. If you remember, Robert Saleh was the DC with the 49ers when they were giving hell to Aaron Rodgers all those years. He knows how to play him. He gave him that same type of problem this game with the way he played him. He played him the same way the 49ers played him. The same exact way. It's nothing different that he did. The Jets are one of these young, hungry teams. They have the right coach. They have the right players. They're 2 years from popping. Maybe next year they might pop because what they're doing right now, they're having to protect Zach Wilson. He only threw 18 times a game. That's the new form. I love it. He's treating Zach Wilson the way the Cowboys need to treat Dak when he comes back. They run the ball with Breece Hall. They run the ball with Michael Carter. They play good defense. And then they get their opportunities, and they tell Zach, you need to make just 1-2 plays for us on third down and in the red zone. And he's been doing it, managing the ball. He didn't throw any interceptions. That's very important. And as long as he does that, the manpower for these kids, roster for the Jets is full of first round, good A1 talent. And all of these guys are under 25. So they're playing in their best and they're in their prime and they're young and hungry. And they got a young, hungry coach in Robert Saleh who knows what he's doing. Oh, the Niners had an energy that he brought to them. You're seeing that same energy and swag with the Jets on defense, man. He got Mosley there, so Mosley's doing everything that he had Warner doing with the 49ers. Just a great job by Robert Saleh. If Dave Bowl NFC Coach of the Year, he has to be the AFC Coach of the Year with what he's doing. And, man, the Jets, they're about to give some people some problems. They're only +3 at the Broncos next week, so that means they're going to win that game. After that, they're at home against the Patriots, which is going to be a good one because, I like Bailey Zappi a lot. And I like what they're doing with him. But then after that, this is the game I can't wait to see when the Bills come to the Jets. I can't wait to watch that game. I cannot wait to watch that game. And I know it'll probably be Jets +7. And if it's over a touchdown, I'm going to take the Jets because Robert Saleh is going to have a defensive strategy to contain Josh Allen. And if he has Mosley available and he has Sauce Gardner, they're going to be okay. Sauce Gardner already is a top 5 cornerback in the league. Him and Derek Stingley from the Texans will be perennial all pros. And you can bookmark that. These guys will be all-pro cornerbacks the next 5 years in the NFL. So great job by the Jets. Great job, Robert Saleh. The Packers, just like the Rams, they suck on line. Their defensive line, offensive line are weak, and they're getting exposed in the trenches against teams who can really play.
And one of my most enjoyable games to watch yesterday as a Mike Tomlin truther was not only the Steelers covering the spread, but getting that win. You know, I love Mike Tomlin, and this is kind of what he does. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if I can upgrade the Steelers off this win. The idea is he can pull this out here and there, but I don't know if you can stay at that level of intensity week in, week out. But, you know, you had a big game at home. You're coming off your worst loss of the season. This is usually a time that we think the teams are focused, dialed in. These guys are professionals. It's not the same talent gap that we see on Saturdays. The worst team is the NFL is a lot closer to the best team in the NFL than sometimes we like to think or our projections make them. So great job by the Steelers here. I'm not going to upgrade them, though. I think that, you know, Tomlin just worked his magic, got a win, got these guys going. I don't know if it's sustainable. We saw Kenny Pickett went out. Back to Trubisky. Trubisky got it done. I like getting Pickett in there, but at this point, I don't really know, like, if you're handicapping, if it's too much of a difference with either quarterback in there. If they're going to win the game, they're going to have to defend well, and that's what they did against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have a ton of problems, so I'm downgrading them for now, but let's not write this team off, in my opinion. This team is still struggling with injuries. If they get healthy, they get right, they can still make noise in an NFC that's not nearly as good as the AFC in my mind. So I'm not downgrading the Bucs for the season or their ability to win the championship. But with all their health problems they have right now, I think you have to downgrade them a point or two for the next couple games. What were your takeaways from the Steelers and the Bucs?
Mike Tomlin, simple as that. Mike Tomlin was not going to lose this game. They went Bears last week. He's a Hall of Fame coach. Only coach in the last 15 years. He has no losing seasons. It's going to be difficult to pull that one out this year, but if anyone can do it, it's going to be Mike Tomlin, man. This guy is just a leader of men. Pickett didn't do all that. Everybody thinking Pickett had just this great game. He was 11 of 18 for 67 yards, you know, one touchdown, but it was a big touchdown pass. The thing that Mike Tomlin did is he developed a bend but don't break defense. And, you know, they've been doing that forever with the Steelers. That zone blitz, and that zone gets really tight on you down by the red zone. The Bucs got in the red zone 3 different occasions. They came out with 9 points. They never put up a touchdown inside the 20. And that was the difference between the game, because the Steelers scored twice in those same positions on the field, with Trubisky getting a touchdown pass. And also before Pickett got hurt, he gets one. Simply just Mike Tomlin. Like you said, I don't upgrade the Steelers. This was just a Mike Tomlin pride game, and they showed up and they played for their leader.
One thing I want to say about Tomlin, too, I think a lot of times, especially when I listen to other gambling shows, analyze coaches, I feel like they emphasize play calling just way too much. Yeah. Because a lot of the criticism, so 2 of the guys that I'm always different on them with are Pete Carroll and Mike Tomlin. And I actually agree with some of the criticisms of their play calling, right? And we can go back and we can find times that he punted on 4th and 1, you know, on his own 50 and stuff. That, you know, hey, that probably wasn't the right call. But where I think that they don't understand, that's so little of coaching, so little. I think so much is in the teaching, leadership, and development of the players. And we see this from Tomlin teams every year. Even if they're guys 6th, 7th round picks, undrafted free agents, guys that aren't that physically gifted, he gets them to understand their role and execute their role. And I feel that in spite of any criticisms you can have of his play calling, he's still just one of the top guys. Same with Pete Carroll, in getting guys to buy in and using them, getting them to be better than they were from the first day of training camp to the last day of season. And that's why I always just give Tomlin so much. Yeah. Because he's a true teacher.
They're both teachers. Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, and
Pete Carroll. He just gets those guys to be the best human beings they can be, not just even football players. I should talk about you pre-show. Why are we talking about the Panthers and the Rams?
Because I gave it out.
Did you even watch any of that game?
I watched every snap because I had.
You are insane. I had more on the Seahawks game. I had money on the Seahawks and the Chiefs, so I had those 2 on. So tell me about the Panthers and the Rams. I saw that the
What a
Rams
horrible
covered.
game. What a horrible game. The Rams should have won this game by at least 30 points. And I'm so mad at Matt Stafford, dude. Matt Stafford, I did an in-game bet for a ridiculous amount of money on Rams after they went down 3-0 minus a half even money. And they got the ball back up 7-3. He throws a pick six right before the half. Do you know that the Rams offense has given up 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games off of turnovers? All pick sixes, Matt Stafford, and the defense is only giving up 2. So I know, like I said, I tweeted and everybody was like, man, I think that they went and read this to McVay because I said, man, look, I know Aaron Donald is ready to punch Matt Stafford into the Pacific Ocean right now because their defense is playing ball. Those guys on the defensive side that they have are veterans. The linebacker that came from Seattle, you got Jalen Ramsey. Those guys play with a lot of pride on the defensive side for the Rams. And they haven't been giving up anything, man. And then you got this offense that's supposed to be Wonder Boy's offense, McVay, and I just don't know what they're doing. And another thing about giving out these games on Thursday. Thursday, I gave this game out on 97.5 ESPN in Houston on the bench, thinking that Cam Akers was about to have a lights-out game. He ends up not even playing this whole game.
And he's never going to be on the team again.
What's going on with that? What is happening?
We're not going to come out till now, but you know what? That's fine. I'm happy they're keeping that in-house. Hey, let's have a little bit of privacy there. So credit to the Rams for doing what the Warriors couldn't. My only point I want to make listening to your breakdown there is I want to stick up for my guy, my favorite Georgia guy, Matt Stafford, a little bit. I know he's been playing bad as of late. He actually did a similar stretch to this last year where he threw those interceptions.
Spread. He's bad. He's always been bad.
No, he's good,
bad, man. No,
he's good.
Not good. He's not good. Even though they won the Super Bowl, he's not good, man. He's not good.
Well, we disagree there. I think that he's a good guy and he's going to get it together. I think one of the reasons they traded for him and got rid of Goff is because he's not afraid to make those throws. Right?
He's not afraid. Yeah, he's not scared. Now, we know one thing about Stafford. He'll let it rip. He don't give a damn about that.
No, maybe I just like that, right? I like Brett Favre, too. The analytics hate him, too.
And I got to admit, he does not have any blocking or offensive line. His offensive line, I want to say,
and he's a tough kid.
The worst
he's not a kid anymore. He's a tough man. So, all right, we'll see how that one goes.
They can't do anything with the Rams, man. They're not making the playoffs. Remember I told you.
All right, we'll remember that one. Here's my bet. I lost. I took the L. I'll do the same thing. We don't want to be broken record, right? But if I would have woken up Sunday and not already placed that bet, I would have not made that bet. The Niners, to me, completely punted on that game. It felt like an NBA game where it's like anybody who has any type of injury, we're going to sit you out. Yeah. And it sucked for people who had money on that game. I was actually surprised because it was a good opportunity for the Niners to kind of make some noise there in the NFC, just moving up in the standings. But they went against it, and at the end of the day, it might be good. Not only do you get your guys healthier, right? You give them a week off. Let's get some of those other guys that we might end up needing. Let's get them some reps, even if it's in a loss. So obviously disappointed when Bosa was out. I kind of changed everything there for me. And credit to the Falcons for getting it done. But I don't really want to make any adjustments to either of those teams in my power rankings based off that game because the Niners were missing like 11 of their 22 starters that they could potentially have. And the Falcons took advantage, but they're not going to run that good at all time. Sucked to lose the bet. It was really disappointing. I kind of knew it was going to happen before kickoff, but I didn't want to buy back because the last thing I wanted to do was get that negative middle. So tough situation for me. I'll learn and get better, and I need to monitor that injury report a little more. The week before, a lot of those guys that were on the injury report, however, ended up playing. So I assumed it was the same thing. The NFC is up for grabs, guys. I mean, the NFC is up for grabs. And the Niners are legit. I could pick holes in all these top teams. And we're going to get to –
Arthur Smith is legit. We've been talking about it before the season started. I told you Arthur Smith can coach his tail off. And that's why they're the only team who are 6-0 against the spread this season is because he knows how to use the pieces that he has. Running back is out, don't make a difference. Tight end misses last week, doesn't make a difference. They're still going to give you the same performance every week and keep that number within that number because they're going to overperform. He's going to have it where they over exceed their expectations, and that's all you can ask for out of coach. Arthur Smith is a really good coach. He's doing a really good job in Atlanta. Look at the game Marcus Mariota had. I think he completed like his first 11 passes and lights out. As you said, the 49ers kind of punted on this when they let everybody sit out because they're getting ready for the Chiefs next week. And I like them a lot at home +3 against Kansas City. Not as much now that Kansas City lost to Buffalo, but if Kansas City would have won, I would have for sure been all over the Niners next week +3. Now I got to do a little bit more digging into the market about it. But the Falcons are the real deal. They're still giving up the least amount of yards against the rush in the league, I believe, and they showed against the Niners. We said that it was a good thing for them staying the whole week, but was it? Because now you got access to Atlanta, and these are a lot of West Coast guys who are not in the South.
But they weren't in Atlanta. They stayed in West Virginia.
Okay,
when did they get to Atlanta? West Virginia.
When did they get to Atlanta? Because it looked to me like they had a great Saturday night. That's what it looked like to me. The whole
so from what I've read, the NFL guys aren't like the NBA guys, and of course I don't know because I've never traveled with the teams.
They do. You know why? Because think about this. I got a lot of homies that play in the NFL. That's why I know this is a fact. Okay. The NFL travels once a week to these places, and during the year, you know how much the NFL. You're not leaving the facility that week. You got to practice. You got to do everything with the team. When they go to these places like Miami, Atlanta, that's why New Orleans has such a great record at home. We're so good at the Dome because they go sneak out and they go to these bars. They go kick it. They see these girls. They have a good time. They hit the titty bars and things like that. Atlanta, everyone knows that if you coming from the West Coast once a year, the guys are going to go out one time in Atlanta, especially the brothers. They got to because Atlanta is that town to have a good time at. So I'm sure they went out on Friday or Saturday night. And as I said, they had a little of the Miami flu that game because the first half they were out of it. Even they tried to make their push, and I thought they were going to make the push and go on and at least win the game. And they did, and they ended up knocking out my teaser. I had a teaser going that would have paid so much, man. And the only game I lost on the teaser was, of course, the Niners +1.5 and +3 on another one. But I just think that they couldn't make that push because I think that they were a little dehydrated, So,
all right. Yeah. There you go. Some inside information there. Let's talk about the two main events. Bills couldn't get it done against the Chiefs. I feel bad. I took the Chiefs, gave that one out. Obviously, pretty disappointed in the loss, but I just want to give the Bills credit. I thought they played well. Even on that last play, it was the pressure by Von Miller that allowed corner to jump that route and get the interception that won the game for him. Great job by Buffalo, and you got to think that they're legit. They'll probably be hosting the AFC Championship now, and even though we thought so before the season, they've reinforced that they are the true favorites in the AFC. Now that Kansas City, in my mind, erroneously let Tyreek Hill go. I think I could see it yesterday. I mean, that you pay the guy, you move stuff around. I don't want to hear I can't afford it. You had a chance to be this generational offense and go toe-to-toe. The Rams have been able to figure it out. Hill could do more for the Chiefs than he's doing with the Dolphins. Devontae Adams can do more than the Packers than he's doing with the Raiders. When these big wide receivers switch, it never works out as well as you think. This is not Madden. You can't just bring the guy over and they click right away. So I think if Tyreek's there, that's a different story, and it might end up costing the Chiefs another trip to the Super Bowl. What were your thoughts on the Bills and the Chiefs?
Like I say, is all the overbettors got smoked. I even teased over on a ticket I did a Chiefs +10.5 with the over 47.5, and they didn't even sniff close unless, Mahomes would have came through on the last drive. And I was texting my boy Cheese on the company that I'm affiliated with, clothing line I wear and I promote, baked goods. It's bakedgss.com. Man, we were texting during the game, and I was telling him, man, Mahomes is not about to score. I told him, I was like, Mahomes is not about to score right here. It's too much pressure. If they would have to go get 3 points, he's okay. But a touchdown is going to be difficult against Sean McDermott with Poyer back in that defense, and they schemed it up and they set him up. He didn't see the guy rolling up on his own. The guy faked like he was dropping back in coverage and rolled up, and they caught him slipping on the cover 2 and picked him off. And all I can tell you is I don't think this does anything but motivate Kansas City more in the playoffs. I think Kansas City's going to go to Buffalo and win in the playoffs.
Oh, I hope you're right.
Yeah,
I'm a big.
so.
I like
so.
that team. Well, let me throw in one little fun fact there. A guy after my own heart, Jordan Poyer, that you mentioned, not cleared to fly. Just like me going to see you, 5-star. He jumped in the car and drove to Kansas City to make sure he didn't miss the game.
Why wasn't he cleared to fly?
Because of the concussion stuff that he's doing.
Wow.
So he wasn't cleared to fly, but I don't know how exactly that happened, but he ended up having to drive 15 hours each way.
Great intel, Spread. I did not know that. That's one of the stories I missed. Thank you, man. I didn't know that. Shout out Jordan Poyer, man. That's dedication there, man.
Let's talk about the second main event. It was a great night of football for us in the afternoon and in the evening. The Philadelphia Eagles look like, hey, we're legit. We're this and that. The Cowboys asked some questions of that team in the second half here. The Eagles end up getting the cover because a 59-yard field goal missed. I mean, looking at the first half, the cover should have never been in doubt. The Eagles, I don't know why they don't play well with the lead. I don't know if they get too conservative. I don't know if they switch their defensive game plan. I don't see schemes and coverages as well. But this has been a continuing issue for this team. If you're going to bet this team, just bet them first half. Regardless, let's talk about what this means for overall for your views on these teams. I don't think you downgrade the Eagles just because the Cowboys gave a fight. But, boy, this Cowboys team looks good, and I can't wait to see what they look like with Dak back under the helm. Might have been a little different. 3 interceptions by Cooper Rush, and they were still, 5 feet away, right, if that field goal is a little more to the left of covering the spread. What were your thoughts on the Cowboys and the Eagles?
I lost on this game, too. I took the Cowboys as well. I actually caught a +7 at -115. The first half, Mike McCarthy blew the game. Simple as that. They could have covered the game. All he had to do, and I'll talk about a little bit on Kick the Damn Extra Point later, about the decision that he made that really put them behind the 8 ball. But as you said, the Eagles come out prepared, Sirianni. But what I've noticed, Sirianni is terrible at halftime adjustments. He's terrible at in-game adjustments. And that's going to make them pay a little bit later in the season, especially when the playoffs begin. You can't win games in the first half. You have to win the entire game. And they're going to be in trouble when they face a team like, say, for instance, the Bucs and Tom Brady, who how Brady plays in the second half. The adjustments that he's going to make. The type of guy and leader he is in the second half when the game's on the line. So the Eagles are going to have some problems if they don't play full games. They never play a full game. You said the only bet you can make on them is the first half. And that's all schematics because Sirianni draws up great plays. He's one of those great play callers and stuff. And now he's trying to take on the Philly attitude and try to curse people out and be a tough guy and all that. But I still remember his first interview at the podium, and I never forget first impressions. That's the guy he really is. So he's really a nerd. When he first brings out the team, the first half, they're prepared, But as the game goes, people make adjustments. They start stopping what they're doing, and he doesn't have a plan B to go to ever. So later on in the season, that's going to really hurt them. And they better be careful about the Giants next time they play the Giants, because the Giants are the exact opposite. Dayball does a great job of making adjustments in the second half, and then they play their best ball after halftime. So if I'm an Eagles fan, I got to worry a little bit about how they're finishing these games. The Cowboys, they're just missing, a more efficient passer with Dak over Cooper Rush. Last night, I hope people saw the difference. Cooper Rush is a good quarterback, a good backup, but he's not Dak. Dak's not special, but he's better than Cooper Rush. And some of the plays that interceptions and stuff that Cooper Rush threw, I think Dak could have made a better decision and made better plays. And also he adds just a little bit more athleticism where he can scramble and make some things happen too. So the Cowboys in a good position because they got a good defense, man. You saw after the half what they did defensively. They gave them 20 points the first half. They gave them 2 field goals in the second half. So Cowboys are on a good path right now. And if, like I said, the Eagles, if I'm an Eagles fan, I wouldn't get too high on them, man, just simply because I haven't seen them play a full game yet this season. Now, let's get to the present.
Yeah, let's get to the present. So I'm going to actually just hang back on this game because I'm not really too happy about it. Why are we watching the Broncos in prime time again? I know it's too early for the flexes and stuff, but boy, this team has not been fun to watch. Now they've got them going again, but they're going against one of our favorite little rascals, Brandon Staley, and the Los Angeles Chargers, who are never a team that I'm high on. 2 teams I want to fade face off. What do we do with tonight's game?
Much as it pains me, man, we got two coaches. I don't like either one of them as far as the way that they coach and run their teams. You got a little rascal against old rascal. So um, I'm gonna roll with Denver on this game, man. Much as it pains me, it's just this is one of those games that is too much like right to take the Chargers. Like Chargers less than the touchdown just looks too inviting. And I know how these bookmakers work. If it's too inviting and they're telling you to come grab this team and hey man, look at this point, it's not gonna go that way. Denver's defense is going to be able to keep them in the game somehow. I guess Russell Wilson find some magic. I'm sure all week he's been cleansing and praying and working out because he's just a good, dude. And I think he's going to try to show the world tonight on prime time that he's still that guy. As you know, he has one of the better prime time records in the NFL. So I just think that somehow Russell Wilson keeps this game close. And if anything more than that, I think that Brandon Staley figures out a way to keep the Broncos in the game with some of his absurd fourth down decisions. So I'll be on the Broncos tonight, man, plus 4.5. It pains me to bet Nathaniel Hackett, but it's too many points to get a little rascal, man. There's no way I'm giving up 4.5 with that little rascal.
All right, let's move into the future. We both have some NBA plays to give out. Yours you've already given out, though. Why don't you just reinforce what you're going to give out, and then I'll go ahead and give out mine.
Put more money on the Rockets. I've been greatly impressed by what I've seen from the Rockets as a team. They look like one of those teams that are ready to hit the next level, team that's ready to contend for the playoffs. They're not going to tank this year. They don't want Wembanyama. They feel like they already have their roster filled out. Tari Eason is a beast. They just re-signed KPJ, gave him the money that he deserves. When first got KPJ, I was really happy because I know it's hard to find a 6'6" point guard, combo guard with the type of skills he has. He's actually the closest thing I've seen skill-wise to James Harden. Their games is very similar. And you can tell that James Harden worked with him a lot in his time there when they had their times crossing paths because he likes the kid because a lot of Harden's moves, KPJ does them right now. The step back, the getting the fouls, all that stuff. He's left-handed like him. So I told people the only thing that Houston would have to do with this guy is love him up. And we've seen a transformation in this kid's maturity. He has a girlfriend now. She's a beautiful girl to play the WNBA. He seems really focused on like just doing the right thing and being a good player. And I think he's also realizing his role on the team better. Did you know he was 48% as a catch and shoot 3-point shooter last year? And he's been even hotter in the preseason. It's like the Rockets don't miss from three right now, man. Him and Jalen Green are on a mission to show the league that they belong and that they are real stars. And man, be careful with those Rockets this year. I'm telling you, I've seen what I need to see, and Silas has added things to the playbook. As you know, Silas was the Dallas Mavericks, became a scoring team. He was the offensive guy there. He was the wizard that drew up all of the plays there. And he's opening up his playbook more now, and you're seeing a lot more actions from the Rockets in preseason. And as you know, your guy Sengun is the perfect point center because all he has to do is get somebody. If they don't want to double, if they want to stay out there on Jalen Green and KPJ and on Smith and all these great shooters, he's going to just go to work. It's going to be lunchtime. He's going to go to work down low on whoever it is because he has so many moves that's going to get you in foul trouble. So now if you double, you're going to kick to all of these guys who shoot over 40% from the three-point line. Only thing working against the Rock youth, but as far as the talent, togetherness, and on a mission, I think they're that team this year that's going to make the biggest jump in the NBA. And I'm not saying this just as a fan. I'm saying this from breaking down film and watching these guys play and how they're playing right now, not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side. So I expect big things from the Rockets this year. As you know, I have the 25-1 golden ticket. I keep putting $100 every time I get an extra $100 to put on there. So hopefully the Rockets make me rich at the end of the season when all those tickets cash on the playoffs. But bang the over 23.5, guys. They will win more than 23.5 games easily.
All right. I'm going to go to the top of the NBA. I'm going to get an NBA championship pick. Running everything, getting excited about the NBA. And I'm taking the Bucks to win the NBA championship. And I know that the NBA has turned into transaction league, and everyone's excited about all these new additions and all these moving pieces. And continuity gets greatly undervalued when we're looking at these teams. There's a reason why the Warriors did so well last year, and the reason why the Bucks are always on the top. Let's talk about how the Bucks are good. Well, to me, they have the best player in the NBA right now. Jokic is great. Jokic has won the MVP. I think we're going to look back, and that's going to be like when Jordan didn't win the MVPs. He should have won the MVP almost every single year from like 87, 88 to 96, but he didn't, because they get tired of giving it to the same guy. But Giannis is the best player in the league when you add in defensive ability. And you're right. I mean, I understand Jokic has the greatest analytics and efficiency and this and that. But the type of blocks, like when Giannis made that block to seal the NBA championship against the Suns, that's what you're getting from a guy like that. So I'm excited about that. And of course, they were a little worried about the injury to Middleton. This team needed to stay healthy, but if they got their top three guys, they can plug and play the rest. I'm at plus 700 right now. We'll add that. We'll start with that, and then we'll add some others as the season goes on. Maybe as a team that I like goes through a bad stretch or is undervalued for some reason. But this is where we're going to start the portfolio. You've got that Rockets over 23.5. You got the Rockets to make the playoffs. I'm saying add a little Bucks to win the championship at 7-1. One of everybody's favorite segments. It's time for you to go after these little rascals. Who's the little rascal of the week on Kick the Damn Extra Point?
This time we got an OG rascal. It's Mike McCarthy, man. He's one of the guys who's been there a couple times, man. He's back, and it's simply for one decision in that game. And it cost all of us who bet the Cowboys the cover, man. You're down 14-0. It's not necessarily going for it. You got the right team to go for it. The problem was you're on your own 34, 4th and 1, right? You have Zeke Elliott, you have Tony Pollard. Both of those guys are great running backs. You got a great offensive line. Not only do they not huddle up in order to call a run and play, a quarterback sneak, they go hurry up after they're short. So I'm like, okay, they're going hurry up. He probably put in the Brady package. That's smart. Like, he's going to just run up to the line and quarterback sneak it for the half a yard that they need to keep the drive going. Do you know this idiot ran a hurry up to get to the ball and run a play action pass with 4th and less than 1 from their own 34? We talked about before, on these type of situations, the last thing you want to do is throw the ball, because 3 things bad can happen when you throw the ball: sack, interception, incompletion. He had the third, the incompletion. Not the pass wasn't even close. As you know, the Eagles have great DBs. They're smart. They jumped right on the play action, had the receivers completely covered. So this idiot, instead of quarterback sneaking or handing to one of your running backs, you do a hurry up. Don't get your team set. Talk to them. Tell them, hey, guys, we need one. You guys get low on the line and let's get this 1 yard and keep the drive going. They go hurry up and then run a play action on 4th and less than 1. That's just idiocracy at its finest. Mike McCarthy, keep the damn extra point.
Let's get into the winners for this week. Another week, some more winners here. And your game is tonight, right? So we'll start with you.
Man, we're going with the Cleveland Guardians plus 1.5. Me personally, I'll be betting the money line for plus 130. Too many Yankees fans. Everybody's going to be on the Yankees, but all the pressure is on the New York Yankees. If the Guardians get up early on them, oh man, it's going to be proud. And they got guys going who not a good playoff pitcher in Italian. He has not done a good job. The last game, Guardians were able to run him out. If this game plays, it's supposed to be raining. I don't know if it's going to even happen tonight. But if it does, I have to like Francona and how he manages with the Guardians. And I have to take the plus 1.5. If we get the extra innings, that 1 run, unless we get a home run shot, I'll cover you. But I also expect the Guardians to win the game. The Guardians going into the playoffs had the longest road winning streak in the Major League Baseball. They don't care about traveling. They have a lot of clutch hitters. They play small ball, and that's more important in October than having the big boom bats. So they have a guy, Savali, going tonight, which is really weird to me that Francona came with. Savali hasn't pitched good lately, but I know Francona is one of the sharpest guys in Major League Baseball. So if he's letting him pitch first, he's just going to let him only pitch the first inning and then take him out and go to their great middle relief and make it a bullpen game. Or he's seen something out of Savali who makes him think that he's going to be able to bring something that's going to get the Yankees some problems tonight. So in a low-scoring game, because it's an October game and it's going to be a lot of pressure on both teams, a lot of tightness. I definitely like the Guardians plus 1.5. And I'll also be looking at the first 5 under on the game. That's been a trend that's been going on a lot of these Major League Baseball playoff games because pitching is dominated early in these games.
All right, jumping in there with you tonight, as well as I already have my ticket. The Golden State Warriors tip off tomorrow night against the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's be honest, if they weren't the Lakers, would they be on opening night? And the team didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And yes, they added Pat Bev. Okay. Regardless, right? The Warriors are the best team in the league, and we'll see how it goes season long because I think there will be some issues. But I think that in this instance, for tonight, we're going to get a really focused effort from this team to go out and kind of dispel some of those notions about everything that happened behind the scenes. And so, you're going to get a focused Draymond. Jordan Poole should be really focused. We'll see what they look like in December, January, and February, right? Because I don't know if they're going to be focused then. But opening night on TNT, I think this team's looking to make a statement. And in fact, that incident might make me more likely to want to bet this line because I don't think they're going to come in overconfident now. They come in with something to prove, almost a chip on their shoulder there. So, not necessarily high on the Lakers this year. Of course, Anthony Davis could spoil this if he gives me a great performance, but he could also be in the locker room by the second quarter. I mean, that's what you're dealing with when it comes to this team. So I'd rather go with the team that I trust. I thought this game was going to be at 7.5. That's what I had it at. Just like football, that 7's a key number because that's where they stop fouling. We are below a key number. It's only -6. Take advantage right now as soon as you see this video because by the time they tip off tomorrow night, I expect it to be where I was telling you, unless just a ton of money from the Los Angeles fans come in. But from talking to Lakers fans, they don't seem too optimistic about this team either, right? So I don't know if they're going to be flocking to bet their favorite team just because they're the favorite team enough to move the number against. I think the sharp people who are running numbers are going to be on Golden State, not only mathematically, but situationally as well. So great opportunity here to start our season right with the Golden State Warriors -6.
Definitely. So spreads rolling with the Warriors. Defending champs going to be at Chase Center, and I know it's going to be rocking and rolling in the Bay as the hated Lakers pull up, and the Lakers just don't have a lot, man. No matter what they're trying to sell you, the Lakers aren't that good, man. And Russell Westbrook doesn't seem too happy with what's going on, like he's ready to get out the door. So with a lot of drama in both locker rooms, I expect the Warriors to handle the drama a little bit more like my guy Spread said. And as I told you, I'm on the Guardians plus 1.5 -150 tonight. It has went up to -170. I caught it early. You guys need to also think about splitting it. Take the Guardians plus 1.5 and probably take them plus 135. I would not be surprised at all with 80% of the money on the Yankees if the 20% with the books win with the Guardians tonight. Hey guys, as always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Follow my guy Spread at Spread Astaire. Follow me at 5 Star in Vegas. Spell out the 5. We'll see you guys in a couple days on Wednesday.